Hey everybody, it is Dak here from the Ed Boys, and welcome to episode 8 of the Road to 120 Invention. In the last episode and a half actually, we've been working on this supply run. It's been kind of a large supply run for lower level supplies. It will be ending in this episode. I'm going to be finishing up the supply run about halfway through, right about halfway through actually. And let me explain to you at least what the rest of the supply run is going to look like, even though you will be watching it in a minute. Clearly, I'm selling the rune ore that I got here to buy the rest of the mithril ore. I got a decent amount of rune ore. Not a lot of people are mining it, so honestly, in the future, I'm going to be going out and mining my own rune ore because it's a solid profit, and we could do a lot of stuff with rune bars, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'm going to take those mithril ore and all the coal that we have, turn them into mithril bars, and after that, I'm going to be turning them into mithril knives. Those mithril knives are going to give us some components and parts that we don't quite have yet. And I feel like I just need to kind of spread out what parts I'm getting. Eventually, I'm going to need these parts for something, I'm sure of it. So that's what we're going to end up working with. The final thing that we'll be working on is grabbing some pale energy. I'm going to get about 10,000 of it because you need pale energy to create an augmenter. And eventually, we're going to be using a lot of augmenters. So a little bit of pale energy. That is something I could buy, but it really isn't going to take that long to grab too much of it. It only takes one divination, and I have like 80. So we'll be all good with that. That's when we're going to be ending the supply run and moving on to disassembling some items. Something that I probably should have mentioned about a minute and 25 seconds ago is that I do kind of have a cold going, so if you hear me sniffle or if I start to get stuffed up and sound kind of nasty, I'm going to do my best not to get to that point, I promise, but it could happen. I'm going to apologize now for that. I understand it's not so fun to listen to, but I'm doing my best here, guys. I do have a couple things I want to talk about while we finish up this supply run. First things first, though, I have two questions from the Q&A. The very first question is actually the one that I mentioned last time. I'm going to bring that up here. Bowie Griffin asks, what do you plan on training Invention with? What monsters? I did ask Bowie real quick what he meant by, like, if I was on the same page as him. When he says, what are you training Invention with? What are you training, like, the weapon that you're going to training Invention with? That's where the what monsters comes in with. So I will be augmenting a weapon. I haven't fully decided what weapon yet, but when I do, I'm going to be fighting some monsters to level up that weapon, eventually disassemble, get some solid Invention XP. What monsters, though, is a phenomenal question because I don't even really know yet. I'm thinking I will likely start with Abyssal Demons because I have the Slayer level. It's a decent monster to be fighting. You'll get some good drops. It's pretty easy to kill. But I'm not going to only do Abyssal Demons throughout this whole series. If I get something like a Dragon Slayer perk, clearly I'll be going to do some dragons. I wanted to do Black Dragons too. That's somewhere up on the list. I'd do any kind of dragon. Black Dragon is just like the first one that comes to mind, I guess. I might even I put a real big might on this because I have no real idea. But I might do some bossing along with it too, because we get some big drops from bossing, and big drops will tend to equal more Invention XP in the future. So, of course, that'll be a little bit better. But right now, for what monsters I'm going to fight, I don't have a solid answer for you because there's a variety. It kind of depends. But I can say that Abyssal Demons will likely be the first monster I fight. And then when I go to fight more monsters, eventually I'll get to the point where I have to make a new decision on the next one. But thank you for dropping in your question, Bowie. I appreciate it. The next question and last one in this session is from, forgive me if I say this wrong, Benis Baronis. Maybe you could do a Road to 120 Slayer in RS3. I gotta say, I really like the sound of that because I do like Slayer. But the next series I want to do after Road to 120 Invention, I already have it planned out. First of all, this Road to 120 Invention is going to take a while, so it might not even be after. I might start it during this. But either way, I already kind of have it planned out, and it is going to have to do with Slayer, just not necessarily getting to 120 Slayer. And it isn't necessarily going to be focused on Slayer by any means, but I'm going to be getting Slayer XP the entire series. It's quite possible I get to 120 Slayer. I mean, that's how you do it, is by getting a lot of XP. So it won't necessarily be called the Runescape Road to 120 Slayer, but there'll be a lot of Slayer involved, and it'll still be an exciting, fun series, at least for me. I mean, I'm hoping you guys like it. So the future series will have Slayer to do with it. So I guess I can give you a 50-50 yes and no to your answer. But thank you very much for dropping your question, both of you guys. Everybody else who hasn't dropped a question yet, go ahead and do so. The more questions, the merrier, without a doubt. Gives us some more topics to speak about. Maybe you start a big rant, something that I really want to talk about, like something big. But either way, drop your questions, guys. No topic is off limits. I guess there might be off limits topics, but I just won't answer those questions. I want you to drop anything you can think of because I want to hear what you guys want to hear from me. I'll be real brief about this one, but I gotta give a quick update in MLB now, Major League Baseball. For those of you that don't care about what I'm going to talk about, you probably didn't know what MLB is, but for those of you that care about this, I probably didn't have to explain it to you anyways. Real quick, Cubs are #1 team in baseball. Right behind them are the White Sox. So the Chicago teams, anybody from Chicago, you guys are killing it. I know that somebody commented about the Cubs, I want to say in like the first episode, so whoever you were, you're probably really happy right now. Otherwise, still very early in the season. Got a lot of baseball to go. I'm still very excited to watch. So far, it's actually been a really phenomenal season. A lot of crazy things happen, but I feel like we could say that every year. There's always new things happening in baseball. That's what I love about it. You never know what you're going to see when you go to turn a game on. The last off-invention topic I want to speak about would be the month of May, I guess. First of all, my next week is finals week. I know some people have already had their finals. A couple of my friends have in other schools. So if you are a student, and if you've already had your finals, good work, congratulations. If you have finals coming up, I want to say good luck on your finals. I hope you guys do well. I understand that it can be a stressful week for some of you, and it may not be for someone else. But either way, good luck on your finals. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, first of all, go ahead and follow me on Twitter so that you already have this information. But I'll give you some of the information anyway. This month for me is being considered May Madness because I'm doing a lot of recording. I have a lot of things that I'm trying to get done over the summer, and I won't have as much time as I usually do to record a lot of these videos. So May Madness is where I'm going to be pounding out basically the summer's worth of videos all in this month. So as ridiculous as that sounds to me, at least, it's going to be a lot of recording. It's going to be a lot of fun. It means there's a lot of recording going on. So honestly, the big thing here is you guys should follow me on Twitter if you want to get updates on that to see how everything's going. A lot of fun stuff happening. It means I'm going to get a lot of series done, and if I do really well at it, that means I might be able to start releasing 2 episodes a week of some of the more popular series. But now, let's move on to some invention. I'm going to go ahead and use my examine or my analyze on a couple of these items, like this rune square shield. This was while I was mining gems. I think I got this one. Maybe not. I'm pretty sure it was from an impling that I caught, and it would be most likely from, the gems, because there were a bunch of implings flying around. But there's 8 chances for materials, 45% chance that it's junk. So we only have 1, but I don't know, it's something. 8 chance for materials, pretty cool. Some things like these mithril knives, I put a lot of effort into, and they're not great. 2/3 chance of junk, but there's 8 different chances for materials, so that's actually pretty good. That's not too bad. These monkfish we've been using before, they're not great, but I have them. I'm not going to use them for anything else. Might as well get rid of all of them. These gold rings, not going to be much from these, but this is more for a little bit of an experience grind, even though they're probably like 1 experience a piece. What else do we have? Staff of Fire. Some of these we're buying. I didn't realize the junk chance was so high until, the amount that I have right now bought. When I looked that up and I noticed it, I stopped them from buying. I did need, I want to say powerful components is what I needed from them, but I decided not to be using those as much. I wanted to use these pack yak pouch for, the powerful components. I am going to actually look that up quick while I'm talking to you guys, because I'm pretty sure it's powerful components are something that I need for the augmenter that I'm going to be getting, but the odds are decent that we'll get the powerful components we need from these yak pack pouches. I spent a little bit of money on them. I've still got 30 gold bars left over. It's just materials that I have left, and that's really all that I need to analyze. I'm just going to start disassembling. We'll just start from the beginning. Let's have at it. So now that we've completed the supply run, clearly as you can tell, as I've pretty much already mentioned, we are disassembling the entire tab, or at least the entire disassembling part of my invention tab. This is basically how the supply runs are going to work. I will collect all the supplies and then just disassemble, and then in between supply runs we'll do a little bit more unique invention type stuff, like I'm going to be making an augmenter, augmenting a weapon and training that weapon up, trying to disassemble it, get some solid XP. You'll notice this time this invention, or this disassembly montage, or whatever we want to call it, we're not going to get that much XP. It was more low-level supplies. A lot of the collecting, or the supply collecting area of it, was just getting those porters, which I'm not disassembling, so we didn't really gain that many disassembling supplies. So not phenomenal XP. I am going to be getting a level, so I guess that's good news, because we didn't get any invention XP in the last episode. But the big thing is, once we start disassembling augmented weapons, and we get to points where we can, there's other things we can do other than disassemble them. If you know what it is already, then kudos to you. If you don't, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil it yet, but there's some other things that we're going to be unlocking soon we're going to start getting some big XP jumps. I believe in the next episode we'll have our first, like, really big XP drop. We're going to get a few levels from it. I already know that it happened because I've already recorded it at this point, to be honest. But the reason that I'm saying it might happen in the next episode is because I don't know footage-wise how much I'm going to fit in. So I know that there is a big XP jump. I just don't know if it's going to happen in the next episode or the one after that. It definitely won't be the one after that because that I don't know. I can't fit that much footage into 2 episodes. Either way, we have a big jump in XP coming in Invention. It's just not right here. We're only getting a little bit from disassembling. In terms of what's going to be getting us from our current invention level to 120 invention, disassembling really isn't going to be a lot of that. Clearly, disassembling a large stack of items is not a lot of XP, and we need a lot of XP to get to 120 inventions. So these supply runs and disassembling are more about parts in a lot of ways. It'll add up to some decent XP, and maybe I find certain supplies that actually give real good XP. But the big chunks of experience are going to be coming from things like weapons and armor. So that does mean that there is going to be a pretty solid amount of combat coming up in the series, which when I first started the series, that was not my plan to do much combat, but that's because I didn't know much about Invention. I now realize kind of what's going on, how I want to be training, and disassembling augmented weapons and armor and whatnot is going to be far quicker to get to 120. Really the only way to get to 120. Like, you could do it just disassembling these gold rings, but look at how much XP I'm getting per gold ring. It's pretty minor, and I'd have to get like 1 billion of them to get to 120. So clearly the big chunk of XP not coming from this stuff, but we're still going to be doing a lot of it because we need the parts. The parts are very important. Without the parts, we couldn't do the big stuff. It's really how it works. For future supply runs, I don't think I'll be doing a lot of mining for coal and for mithril and whatnot. Well, coal I might, because if I was doing like rune items, I still need coal. But I'm not going to be doing many low-level supplies for a while. My next supply run is not going to be too far off. I'll do some little bit higher-level supplies. Still not crazy things, but like I'll chop some elder logs maybe. I'm thinking about fishing some rocktail, things like that. So a little bit high-level resources, but eventually the supply runs, I might mix them together. So if I wanted to get some really high-level supplies like drops from monsters, I would go ahead and augment a weapon, a pretty decent weapon, and we would train that weapon while collecting supplies. So I might be kind of combining them, but either way, that is probably the lowest level supply run we'll do, and maybe the longest in terms of episodes. There were a lot of different things we had to do, and just overall, it was it was a long supply run for a little bit of rewards. So that'll be the weakest in terms of supply runs. If you didn't notice, if you weren't just looking at the screen, we just got to level 20 invention, which is not phenomenal. We still have 100 levels to go, but it's another invention level, and I haven't gotten one in a little while. So it is good to be growing invention levels. It's the whole idea of this series, is that we're trying to get to 120 invention. So there it is, 20 invention. I do not believe, actually I know for a fact, that I will not be getting another level from disassembling all these items. I won't even be getting too close, because disassembling the mithril knives, you disassemble 50 at a time. I didn't fully realize that when I was doing it, so I really only have 100 items there to disassemble, not 5,000, so I'm not getting as much XP as I was expecting. But it's really not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's really more for parts at this point. One of the big things is I have to build an augmenter. I haven't built one yet. We're up to level 20 invention. I can get up to level 5 once I augment. At level 27, I believe I can get to level 10, but we won't be doing anything along those lines for a while. Also, with augmenters, you can augment clearly weapons and armor. We can augment some tools too. I would assume like fishing rods, maybe not fishing rods. There's something you could do with fishing rods, but hatchets, pickaxes. Eventually, since we're doing these supply runs where I'm going to be mining and wood cutting and whatnot, we will be augmenting those items too. Maybe they'll make the supply runs go a little bit quicker, take less time, make more XP, whatever the perks that I get are. Either way, I've been taking more time to study the perks, study all the parts. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with what does what, how I get certain things, blah blah blah. Just the little bits of invention. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about them. So you're going to be seeing in future episodes a little bit more efficiency in terms of training, just in general. Getting better at invention, which is, I guess it's really just expected. So I'm going to be wrapping up this episode here, everybody. We had a kind of a longer talk on invention in this case, but I still had some other topics that I was able to bring up that I wanted to bring up. Either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know that I did, and I will see you next time. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click on that like button and tell us what you enjoyed about it. If you're looking for some more RuneScape videos like this one, then be sure to join the cul-de-sac by subscribing for more. We will see you next time.